All right, we are live. I'm asking where the red light is now. It's popping up. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. We are with Wake Up YPN, and today we have the lovely Amy Pretorius with us. Amy is a builder, designer, owner at Elevation Home Builders, as well as being a licensed realtor. So later this week, Amy is going to bring us a 3-hour course with iCar. So in addition to touching on that, we're going to dive right into general trends and issues that we're seeing in new construction right now. So Amy, let's talk a little bit about you. Everyone wants to hear, what are you up to these days?
Well, so a little background on me. I have been in the building industry in our area since about 2010. And I got my start in the funky little peninsula neighborhood in Iowa City off of Foster Road. So most of you are familiar with that. It's that new urbanism subdivision that's unlike anything else in Iowa City, and maybe even like the 100-some-mile radius until you get to Prairie Trail in Des Moines, I think is the next closest subdivision that resembles Peninsula. But really, really neat learning experience. The person I tutored under, a fantastic project manager. I really think he took the subdivision and turned it around. It was once upon a time failing, became very, very successful at the end. I live here too. I love it. And what's unique about it is, we're talking about building on very small, narrow lots, very traditional architecture, very, very rigorous covenants and code and building guidelines that honestly, I think, scared away a lot of other builders, people that just didn't want to have to do all of that. It's a lot of headache. And again, up until the very end where the builders finally trying to come back in and build out here, which we loved. But it was, it's a really interesting process, but I think it trained me on this entirely different level of being a home builder. And once the peninsula was done, the company pulled out, went back to Michigan where they're originally from, and I was able to start my own company, Elevation Home Builders, with my business partner, Nate. And we've been incorporated since 2017 and having a lot of fun. And it's we're a little new construction and we're a little remodel. So we like to do both. And on occasion, we do flippers too. That's going to be a little challenging right now just because of the market and the inventory is so low. I don't know that we'll stumble across a flipping opportunity maybe for another year or so, but we're definitely busy with remodels and new construction. So
can't complain about that. I know a lot of folks, obviously, low inventory is like the hottest topic right now. But how is it affecting new construction? I mean, if it doesn't exist, everyone always says, build it, So I know when I was in new construction, every time the inventory was low, it was a blessing because we would increase our productivity. So are you seeing that as well? Or are you seeing, people kind of judging, engaging, and being a little bit more pensive?
No, I would say it's flying off the market more than we could have ever anticipated. So as we were entering, let's say 2020, when COVID broke out, I think everybody, not just builders, kind of said, what is this going to do to the market? And you get a little nervous and what's going to happen. Well, 2020 proved to be actually very busy. And especially on the remodel realm, people were stuck in their houses. They were trapped in these walls and going, oh my God, there's so many things wrong with my house. I want to fix it. So we got really, really busy in our remodel sector. Still didn't know what that was going to mean for new construction. So next thing you know, we're getting ready, just like most builders in our area, come summer 2020 to dig in the ground and get our product going for the 2021 spring season, which is the hot real estate market in our area. Well, then we get confronted with this lumber crisis. And we're the first ones to know about it. Of course, we're sitting here getting these lumber packages bid with the local companies. And they're like, oh my God, you guys, I know we bid this for you 2 months ago, but the price has changed. And I mean, our jaws dropped and hit the floor. And it was one of those moments where I think every builder goes, do I proceed and just hope the market can bear what the price of this house is going to be at the end of the day? Or do I postpone, just sit on the lot for a little while, pay interest on it? And do I hope the market's going to come back down on the price of this lumber and other goods and build at a later date? So we wagered and we went ahead and pushed forward and said, we're going to just do it. We're going to build these houses. Took a deep breath and went forward. And I'm really glad we did because we set out to build 4 spec houses this year, and none of these 4 houses are even completed yet technically, but they are all under contract. So that's kind of cool. So, you don't always have that in a regular market. People don't always see what a house is going to look like when it's done, or there is that apprehension of like, well, I just want to wait. Not in this scenario. I mean, I think basically this weekend I met with somebody who's looking at a house that has the first floor framed, and I'd be surprised if I don't have an offer on that house within the week. So very, very unusual climate for construction, but good for us builders. But at the same time, I just can't even keep up, and I don't think a lot of the other builders can even keep up. And as everybody, the realtors in our area know, there's a land shortage too. Even if you wanted to crank up construction, well, good luck finding land to build on. So that's always challenging as well.
Right. It's a perfect storm, right?
It is.
Now, you touched a little bit about the skyrocketing lumber costs. Why do you think there is? I mean, in your opinion, I know there's definitely explanations across the board with various different narratives, but in our very hyper-local market, what do you expect to see going forward?
So, gosh, this lumber crisis. So I have seen it, I've noticed it, I guess. A lot of people talk about maybe it all started in 2008 when you had this economic recession happen, and everybody once again kind of pulled back the reins. Like people were almost about to do in 2020 with COVID-19. And the sawmills pulled back, some of them shut down, that kind of thing happened. And a lot of builders went under. And I think we are now we are just recovering from 2008 now. And you have this boom all of a sudden enhanced by these crazy low interest rates, a whole new generation of people that are ready to buy houses. It's become very popular again versus that kind of group of people, the young people that were still wanting to kind of like move and float around quite a bit. So renting was a better option for quite a while. So this perfect storm of, these closed sawmills, these low interest rates, and this new group of people wanting to get into houses, people leaving cities, for instance, with the closure of businesses in 2020 with COVID-19. And it's just, again, we talk about perfect storms. This is the perfect storm. And we have a supply demand issue unlike I've ever seen before. The lumber is being bought before it can even get on the semis. People are bidding for it, and the bidding of that lumber is what's creating some of this pricing issue. So we'll talk about it in the class that I'm teaching on Thursday, but I think they said something to the amount of 4 million houses is what we are behind on in this country as far as what needs to be built for the demand. Well, I don't even know how we're going to do that, and to build or start up some of these sawmills again to try to meet the demand. I mean, that's not going to happen anytime in the near future. So I think we're going to see or sit on this price range. I don't think it's going to drop anytime in the near future from what I'm hearing from all of my lumber dealers. And it's not just lumber. It's not just raw lumber, right? It's everything. It's everything made out of wood. We see it in toilet paper and paper towels in the grocery store, for crying out loud, but you see it in cabinetry. We're seeing it in our millwork and doors, and then it starts to kind of affect the other sectors. We're seeing crazy hikes in drywall too, and siding, and it's kind of it's scary, but hasn't quite caused major panic yet to where we're seeing people drop off and not wanting to actually move forward with construction yet. So as long as that doesn't happen, I think it's okay, but it's a tough pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah, it's a fingers crossed situation.
Right.
And I'm sure you're going to probably go further into this, but with labor as well being a shortage, I can only imagine that adds a little further complication to the mix.
Oh, that's crazy. That for sure, since I've been at the peninsula, I've noticed after 2008 and some people kind of got wiped out, these small businesses, these little guys, unfortunately, there's not a lot to choose from. So you have a couple of the plumbers and HVAC guys that survived 2008. But now that construction is trying to crank up again, you've got builders that are trying to come into our area again and build more and more houses. The vendors cannot handle it. They cannot handle the local demand for what's going on with supply. And then we got hit with the derecho. And although it didn't affect our area as much, you still did see quite a bit of siding and roofing damage in our area. But the Cedar Rapids is simply too close that we do share a lot of vendors and supply chain between our market and their market. And that is really, really affecting us right now too. I was just told to even get carpet installers. For some reason, there's a surge in carpet installers. The derecho repair stuff has taken so long in Cedar Rapids that people are finally getting to the phase of their construction where carpet is going in. And I was told that, yeah, the carpet installers are probably booked out maybe 6 weeks at Randy's Carpets, for instance. So you're kind of like, you got to be kidding me. And we get notified of these delays all the time. I'll get an email, oh, cabinets all of a sudden are out 9 weeks. And you're like, oh my gosh, appliances 3 months. And that's if you're lucky.
Screens.
Exactly. It's so crazy. I think I have a client that desperately wanted a wolf range. Yeah, we were told it'll be in sometime before Christmas.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, these are all very first world problems, so we can rejoice to that.
Right.
Okay, so as a buyer's agent, let's just say, for example, the client goes through a custom new build process, and I know in your class you're going to go further into this. So for the sake of brevity, how can you actually advocate for realtors in your process, and what is it like being a realtor that's different from representing a buyer of existing homes, specifically with elevation? Because I know every builder is different.
Right. So at least being a realtor and being a builder, I feel like I can connect a little bit more with the real estate agents, and I understand the hard work that they are doing and the performance that they're bringing to the table. So as some builders maybe don't see that as much, but I definitely recognize the struggle for sure with the real estate agents. But I think again, in the class especially related to that, reminding people of the entire process that is involved in building and the current struggles that both builders, buyers, and agents in this realm are kind of facing. That way everybody can get on the same page and be prepared for what's ahead of them. I think education in this process is the most important thing. People get overly educated right now in just certain realms. There's a lot of HGTV, there's a lot of hows and Pinterest and whatnot. We can get buyers brought to us that have very specific ideas as to what they want. And that's fine. And we do our best as builders to achieve it. But there needs to be some sort of recognition as what that's going to do to the price. What is that going to do to the timeline? And I think those items are the ones that tend to cause the most stress in our industry. Is I imagine this is the house I wanted. I had no idea that's how much it would cost. And as long as the agents are there to help educate their clients, I think that's going to be huge. And again, this class is kind of just a refresher to give them the tools to better help their clients through this process, because I feel like just historically, there's always maybe that idea, a homeowner or a buyer won't be necessarily that transparent with a builder. So we're given very limited information when we're building for people, especially when it comes to goal budgets or max budgets, for instance, two very different things. We always get told about a goal budget. The buyers and real estate agents are often aware of the max budget. And if you start getting clients that start picking out their wish list items, and as builders kind of start to see a real issue, like, oh my gosh, we're hitting that goal budget, I'm nervous. The builders start to try to put the brakes on, and when the buyers, no, this is what I really, really want, there's this miscommunication because the builder over here is kind of thinking, well, we're going to build a house that this person will not be able to afford. I'm going to go to the bank and they're not going to be able to cut a check. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, the buyers and the agents are very much aware, well, they didn't want to tell the builder they were willing to spend too much money because they were afraid that's exactly where the price of the house would go from day one. Though hopefully that's you're hoping that's not the case, but I understand that might be some older practice, and some builders didn't get a bad name without but by accident, right? So
right.
That's out there. We're trying to dispel that whole notion of builders kind of just hiding costs and taking too much money for what they're trying to do. So I would say hopefully moving forward, there's just a little bit more transparency, which is and that's something that my company does specifically. We're very transparent. In fact, we show every single number. Overwhelming to some people, but some people really, really like it. But that's how we prefer to do our business, is we want to make sure everybody understands this is where every dollar is going. This is where every dollar is being spent. So,
yeah, that's so huge. And, having been in your shoes with representing a builder, it's so interesting how much easier it is when there's an agent involved in some cases, because you have an intermediary that has a level of expertise that can really explain, hey, if you don't do this, your resale value is going to be XYZ. Or if you do this, you're probably overpaying for something that's very specific, and you better find your twin when you go to sell your house. So, you know,
Right.
it's always nice to have the agent, especially in this market, when you're probably bidding something, you know, day one, and then day whatever 135, it's a different price. And I'm sure you don't have time to go and talk to the bank every 5 minutes and say, are they sure they can afford this? So like having an agent is so huge. And this is just my PSA for agents out there in new construction. Make sure that you're always in touch with the bank, because I've seen, you know, folks get to the finish line and it's a different price than the original when they were first given their approval process or approval papers. And, you know, it's always a clamoring of what do we do? What do we do? And it's nice when someone's babysitting the financial side of things, because the buyer never knows.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
And as builders, we're so busy trying to make these homeowners' dreams come to reality that we do track the numbers. It becomes challenging for us to also constantly make sure, like, are you sure you can afford this? Are you sure you can afford this? Because again, I really feel like that line of communication with the actual budget or, what the buyers can afford is kind of veiled when it comes to the builders. So it is nice because, yeah, as you said, the realtor acting as that mediator, that person who can be, that line of communication between the builder and the buyers, somebody they trust, and that's
Right.
good. You want a trustworthy person in this relationship. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the realtors really are a benefit to the process. And that 1 time out of 10, maybe this class will help. Again, a little bit of education, because passing on that education to the client, I think, can take you from what can be a very contentious, stressful build process to something that's really rewarding, and it works out for everybody. Everybody's happy at the end of the day. So, which is really the
Amen.
goal. So, right, positive reviews.
Especially so that. Exactly. So especially so you don't have to be dual agent when it's the final walkthrough and you're like, is it supposed to be like that? You can have that third party
Right?
other than a mom or dad, walking
Right.
through and be like, yes, that's the way it's supposed to look.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is such a weird process, right? Because most of your existing home sales, really the seller and the buyers never really communicate. And this is that circumstance where this has to happen. And so facilitating that communication is so important, in building that relationship between the seller and the buyer in this case. So I think, you kind of have to switch gears as a real estate agent when we're dealing with new construction versus dealing with existing product.
Right. Well, hats off to you, because I know it's not an easy thing to have to juggle those balls and build those relationships, because it's like a marriage. You're going into a 9-month sometimes relationship, and that's lasted more than some people's boyfriends and girlfriends. So.
Oh gosh, and there's certain things we've learned even about ourselves, that maybe things that we wanted to do or we had expectations that we could achieve that we're having to pull back the reins on. A lot of that, it was allowing some DIY stuff to occur, and that's created some challenges as a builder when you let the homeowner get in there and DIY some stuff. So I wish I could say that that's something we could continue, but I think that's something we're gonna maybe have to say in the future, like that maybe doesn't necessarily work in our industry. So it's all about juggling schedules, and realtors know more than we do too, that you have these very specific timelines, and when you get a homeowner and they're doing some work, you're kind of like, is it done yet?
Oh, I love that. Love that paint job.
Right, yeah. Great. So
yeah.
We're constantly learning, we're still growing, and it's hard right now. It's hard to find help. Even I think we've hired 5 people in the last 9 months, which is crazy. And we're trying to grow even further, and it's challenging. I mean, we can put a job description on Indeed, and it'll sit there for a week with nobody applying, because that is the supply and demand situation we are seeing in our area. It's crazy. It's hard to find the help to build the houses. So
yeah. Well, thank you for doing what you're doing and building beautiful homes. And I want to get to the fun stuff before you have to leave. Love to talk about trends that you're seeing what's really popular in custom homes? Are there anything that you, I guess this is not part of the question, but I'm like, anything that you want to see go, anything that you are excited about coming onto the scene? What are people excited about in this market?
Oh gosh. So what's really strange is houses for a little bit got smaller and more efficient, and now they've been expanding again. So that's kind of crazy. But with expanding houses, we have a lot more square footage to kind of do stuff with. So I mean, we're having a lot of fun right now with home offices, home gyms. Those are 100% necessary. COVID-19 kind of made that a thing, right? Because you're working from home and your gym got shut down for I don't know how long. So those are must-haves in homes right now. Big kitchens, big roomy gathering spaces where you're not on top of each other. And so we've been having a lot of fun with these larger floor plans that we've been able to work with, creating these really awesome dream kitchens, about everything you could possibly want. I mean, the butler's pantry / scullery, I think, is definitely trending in, maybe more so than the regular pantry / hidden pantry that was kind of popular for a while. They want that extra space. It's a place to put an extra dishwasher and an extra set of cooking appliances, or this is where you put your other appliances that you don't want to see on a daily basis, your coffee maker, your mixer, that kind of thing. So loving the butler's pantry, the scullery. It's basically like a second kitchen, a smaller version of a kitchen. So that's a lot of fun. More trends coming in, the different wainscoting and wall treatments. I mean, you're probably seeing a ton of it. First, kind of recently, people are inspired by Joanna Gaines' Fixer Upper. There's the shiplap, and shiplap is still here. I don't think it's quite as heavy as it was. I think it's just used in little small accents here and there versus entire houses or entire rooms. I think it can get like a little overwhelming in those all over the house scenarios, but I still think shiplap has a time and a place. Board and batten wainscoting, traditional wainscoting. Those are a lot of fun. We're putting those all over the place, on the entire wall, in an entire room, 2/3 up the wall, on a ceiling, you name it, all over the place. We're doing these fun treatments to the wall. Wallpaper's making a comeback, but good luck finding an installer. So, that was one of those things that was a huge trend. It died completely. So everybody got out of the business, and now it's picking back up again, and there's nobody who knows how to install wallpaper, or there's very few people and they're booked out for 6 to 9 months. So that's kind of crazy, but supply and demand again, right? And as far as trends, I'm tired of gray. I think gray's done. I think gray's going to go away. So, and I'm talking, I like gray still here and there, but with the gray walls, with the gray colored ashy floors, with the gray carpet, I gray countertops, gray cabinets, too much gray, little gray, great, too much gray, not okay.
Good to hear. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time. You've been so helpful and giving us some great information. I can't imagine how much more information that you've got in your class is going to be just super, super, super knowledgeable. If anyone has any questions about Amy's class, go on icar.org and you can register there. It's this Thursday and it's worth 3 whole CEUs. I'm always going to botch that. But anyways, it will help you as an agent learn to be a better buyer's agent with new construction. So thank you, Amy. We really appreciate your time again, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Ashley.
Take care.
Yeah.